uh, entitled How to Fund Your Life Science/Biotech Startup with Non-Dilutive Funding. Our speaker, Ishai Shamir, is the Chief Executive Officer of Argentum, a consulting firm specialized in obtaining non-dilutive funds and R&D incentives for deep tech companies from EU and associated countries. His areas of expertise include electronics, Internet of Things, information communication technologies, medical devices, pre-hospital medicine, marine technologies, and cybersecurity. So, welcome, and I hand over to you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Let me share again. Just a second. Sure. Okay. Okay, welcome. Thank you for having us here. And thank you for this introduction. My name is Ishai Shamir. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Argentum Consultants. And I must say that I'm honored to be here and part of this nicely organized event. Today, we will be speaking about funding. There is a lot of funding at the national and co-found and European level. And this is exactly what we are specializing in. And in this presentation, we will focus on biotech funding and some other some bottom-up programs that biotech companies can benefit from. But first, I would like to introduce our company, company that I'm heading. The name is Argentum Consultants. We've been around since 1999. Started as a very small local consultancy firm doing grants for Israeli companies because we are located in Israel. And then we started to expand to US federal grants and to European grants. Today I will be speaking about European grants because this is my specialty, and we are most of us are in Europe. So we were established in 1999. We currently have over 100 professionals working with diverse client base from all avenues of technology and innovation ecosystems. So this is us. Now, when we speak about, or when we try to engage European funding in general, we need to be open for collaborations, because collaborations is the key to be successful in European funding. And we have in our network and in our assets over 200 active participants that can participate in our programs and would become your partners for a project, or maybe for other research or business related activities that are not connected to a grant. And we have the ability to consolidate consortiums to apply for European funding, ranging from 2 participants up to 36 participants. That's our record high. So if we want to provide some overview of what are the possibilities out there to fund and to make non-dilutive funding from governments and the European Union to make it your efficient funding strategy, we look at 3 layers of funding sources. Actually, in Argentum, we identified over 90 sources of funding from different European or local entities and commissions and subcommittees and task forces and consortiums around Europe that are providing funding. And we kind of segmented them into three types. So the first type is the national sources. I don't know how many of the attendees here are from Bulgaria, but every country has its own innovation authority, a local entity that is responsible for providing funding for innovation. This approach is justified by many economic models. If you fund inventions, then the general economy will benefit from it. So most model countries have programs for funding research and inventions, R&D in general. So you need to approach your local innovation authorities and see if if you have favorable grants opportunities there, and you can apply there. That's the first step that anyone should take. But some of us can be open to open subsidiaries in other countries as well, and there are a lot of countries that would like you to open a subsidiary there. For example, Austria likes it very much. Poland has very good programs to open subsidiaries there, and grants there as well. So we all know that we have local innovation authorities and we can apply for them, and the chances of success are fairly high most of the times in most of the countries, and it's an approachable, accessible funding, but sometimes it is limited to several attempts, or sometimes there is something that is blocking you from applying to local funding. So you can look at your neighbor countries, or even not your neighbors, and maybe they have grants as well. The next layer are the co-funded programs. Co-funded programs are very interesting because they are managed centrally by either a country association or by the European Union itself, or by a consortium of companies that provide grants, and then the funding goes directly from the countries. So we are remaining with funding that is enabled through the local innovation authorities, but administered centrally. This, in some of the cases, can solve many of the problems of for companies that cannot apply for local innovation authorities. They could be a very good tool to finance collaborative projects or bilateral projects, and therefore they worth looking at. Interesting opportunity, or let's call it an umbrella of opportunities, there is in the ERA-nets. ERA-nets are co-founded programs that are usually administered by a European funded consortium and financed by the countries. This is and the programs usually foster innovative collaborations, collaborative research, or transnational research among several countries. But the last, and I think the most interesting and most lucrative funding comes from the European Union itself. The European Union new multi-year framework budget is set on 1.2 trillion euros, and it is just starting. It's a budget for the next 7 years. Most of this budget will be allocated in some sort of a competitive manner, either in tenders or grants or other types of programs, prizes, awards, or contracts with the European Union. And the main program there, the most known program, is Horizon Europe, the ninth research framework for innovation, framework program for research and innovation, and that is just started, and it has 96 billion euros for the next 7 years. But there are other every company or research facility or university from the European Union can apply to a lot more than Horizon Europe. You have Digital Europe if you're dealing with digital health, and you have the Single Market Program, and you have the EIT Health, that's the European Institute of Technology, and in general, you have a lot of opportunities other than Horizon Europe that you need to search and look for them and then decide if you want to apply them. So this is the high-level segmentation of the funding sources. Now, another segmentation which is very important to understand before starting to look at non-dilutive funding is to define whether this call is a top-down call or a bottom-up call, because they differ greatly in their nature. So a top-down opportunity for funding is an opportunity in which the European Union has an interest. A specific interest, a specific challenge, goal, aim, outcome that is desired. So the funding authority or the funding community commission is writing this down, and they release the call, they allocate budget for it, and they want collaborative projects to apply for it. Most of the times these grants are very wide in their definition and in their demands. So usually one company will not be able to answer most of the demands of the call. So here they really want you to come with a good collaboration to have to apply for this grant, for these types of grants. And most of the grants in Europe follow the top-down approach and the need for a consortium. Now there are some national projects that can be top down. The Eureka clusters and the ERANETs that we've spoke of are top down in nature, and the clusters of Horizon Europe are also 99% of the times are top down. On the other side, you have the bottom up type of funding. Bottom-up means that the interest of the funder, most of the time the EU, is the general economic and employment growth. They don't really care what you are doing, as well as you are convincing them that you are going to be successful, meaningful, and employ a lot of people and support the growth of the economy and the innovation ecosystem around you. So these are the bottom-up ones, and there is there are a lot of differences between them. They are open for all or most thematic fields, and you have some opportunities to apply alone without a consortium for these bottom-up calls. So you have just some name dropping. The EIC Accelerator is the most popular grant that is bottom-up, but also Eurostars by Eureka, that's a co-fund action, and the national funding are mostly, a lot of times, bottom-up. So we said that most of the projects requires you to be a part of a consortium, and this is the main requirements and the barrier for entry or the main eligibility criteria for most of the calls. If we're talking about Horizon Europe and most of the programs from the European Commission, you need 3 participants from 3 different countries. These countries could be any countries that is a member state of the European Union, but it could also be associated countries. Israel is an associated country. The UK is the newest associated country. Norway, Iceland, all of Eastern Europe, Serbia, Montenegro, Tunisia, Ukraine, Turkey, Switzerland is right now not an associated country, but there are ways to include them, and they will hopefully become associated soon. So 3 is the minimum, but in order to win, you need to have like at least 7. You don't see a lot of projects being approved with less than 7 than 7 participants. So this is in numbers. But what is the structure of this consortium? So each consortium has a coordinator. This is someone, an organization, but someone specific who has the technical and organizational skills to lead this project. So he can do some of the work, but he gets budget to manage this project. And the participants could be anyone actually with a legal entity registration or even a person living in the European Union or in one of the associated countries. In some programs, specific programs, they allow even bilateral work with Canada or from India and Japan and South Korea and Africa, countries in Africa. But they could be anyone from these countries, SMEs, large enterprise, academic institute, not-for-profits, cities, governments, police forces, coast guards. So we had a project to that. Everyone could be a participant, and the relationship between the coordinator and the participants and among the participants can be different. They could be nothing, no prior connection, and they could be real business partners or real research partners. It doesn't really matter. And actually, the European Union wants to bring new collaborations, so it is even better to have some of them your usual people that you collaborate with and some of them new partners to you. There are third parties that you can bring in, subcontractors and an advisory board, and people that you want to collaborate with and does not receive budget from the European Union. So this is what a consortium looks like. Now, if you want to participate, I believe that some of us here may come from a big company with the organizational capacity to lead a consortium, and some of us may be coming with small research teams that don't have a lot of time and capacities to manage a consortium. So you can participate as a participant. You don't need to lead the project. You can become a participant, get your foot in the door, be part of a larger research project, and get the funding for this, and get but with minimal investment in proposal preparation. You don't need to build a consortium. You don't need to be the one who is responsible for the quality and completeness of the proposal. But your budget will be lower than the coordinator, because you don't do the management, and as a coordinator you can control everything. There is another option that we are providing as consultants. You can be a concept leader. It means that you are the living spirit behind the behind the project, but and you keep the control. You decide who gets in the project, what kind of budget he receives, but you are not the coordinator. We can bring in someone else to be the coordinator, and we can be coordinators by ourselves. So I think the bottom line of this slide is to understand that you don't have to take all this complexity upon yourself. You can become a participant and benefit from European grants in an efficient manner. So let's have a look at what are these opportunities after all. So far we provided an overview and an explanation of how it goes and how it works, and now we can speak about the specific opportunity. We will start with the bottom-up ones. The first one that I want to speak about, I just want to say that these are not all, these are a selection. As I said, there are 90 sources, and all of them has different opportunities. Some of them are open, some of them are opening soon, some of them are just been closed. But I wanted to collect the ones that are open, that are relevant for the longest time possible. So you have the EAC Pathfinder. EAC Pathfinder, EAC means the European Innovation Council. This is one of the pillars, of the main three pillars of Horizon Europe. It is this is grant from the European Union, and it's bottom up. This grant funds very early stage technologies that have drastic new ideas, radical new ideas that can someone become a product one day. So in this grant, you are not required to have a ready product in the end. You need to show something that might spark some market activity. But this is a very low TRL. You need to be in the beginning, and it requires a consortium, but here the consortiums are smaller compared to the rest of Horizon Europe. We are talking about 4 to 6 participants for a good project. So this is Pathfinder. In latest years, it shows comparably good chances of success. It's a good grant, but it has one submission opportunity per year. We see a lot of biotech proposals succeeding in this grant. Now the EAC Accelerator, this is some sort of a continuation of the Pathfinder, but it does not require you to take previously funded project. You can start from EAC Accelerator, but this is for higher TRL, technology readiness level. It means somewhere from TRL 5, which means that the technology has been validated in a relevant environment, until TRL 8, until the system is complete and qualified. It provides up to 2.5 million euros, and also you can ask for an equity investment from the European Union, together with the private investors that they might bring in. And it's a single applicant, so you don't need partners. I think the most important thing you need to know about this grant is that it's the most competitive grant in Europe, but some may say it is also the best grant in Europe. So it goes together. Everyone can apply for. You don't need a consortium. You don't owe anything to anybody. You don't need to collaborate, and you get very good funding, and you also get investment and to actually do what is best for a company to grow. So it's very good, but at the same time very, very competitive. Next thing that is bottom up is in general Eureka. Eureka is a framework program that has a lot of opportunities to collaborate in bilateral proposals. Bilateral means that you need to have two participants from 2 countries at least, and 2 countries is usually enough here to win. But here, this is a co-fund project, so you need to get an approval from Eureka, and then you need to apply for funding in your own country. So this is Eureka. One project from Eureka stands up partnerships on innovative SMEs. That's it was called Eurostars before, and up until 2021. So they just changed its name to Partnerships on Innovative SMEs. It's open for any technological innovation, and you need to have 2 members from 2 eligible countries. The eligible countries are much wider than the European member states. You can also collaborate with Canada, with Chile, with South Africa, South Korea. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in Europe. This is a good opportunity, mostly because funding goes some sort of a complex way from the European Union to the countries, to the innovation authorities in the countries, who in turn supports the companies or their partners in the consortium. So this is where the bottom-up projects, as I said, these are not all, but these are the main ones that are constantly open, and we know that you can apply for them. Top-down projects. As I said in the beginning, top-down projects are projects that have a specific goal, specific aim, and the main pile or pillar or direction that you should look for grants in this area are the clusters of Horizon Europe. As we said, the EAC was one pillar of Horizon Europe, and another pillar 2, is the actually European challenges. The first one is health. So we are going to speak about health in this. Oh, I don't have a lot of time, so I'll go through it very fast. So these are consortiums. These are big consortiums, anywhere from 3 to 100. Grants could be as low as €500,000 or up to 20 million euros. Very interesting calls requesting fairly good innovation. We can share with you the slides later. And the next, the other opportunities out there are AAL. I don't want to spend a lot of time speaking about each one because they differ, but you have AAL, which is it's something else. It does require a consortium, but different eligibility criteria. You have ERA PerMeds and another ERA type co-fund grant that focuses on veterinary research, and you have grants for antimicrobial research and neurodegenerative diseases and brain-related diseases and cancer and a lot more, but this is just a selection. 1 minute.
Shamir, you have 2 minutes left. Thank you.
Yes, I will use them. Just to mention how we work, we usually work with companies with a multiple submission strategy. We have a strategist from our team that helps you navigate and find the best grants and the best timing for each applicant to submit, and in order to maximize your chances of participation, to minimize your investment, and to seize immediate opportunities. I think we have one minute left for questions.
Thank you very much. Very, very practical and insightful. Any burning question from the audience?
Yes, we do have one question from the audience. Someone is asking if a startup company from Bulgaria with only 2 or 3 employees, can they apply for funding from EU funds?
Yes, but the question is which funding? There are funding for startups, and it is relevant for startups, although they might be too early. I don't know, because in for example, in medical device, you can reach a lot of things with 3 or 4 employees and just hiring subcontractors. So we need to check if this is too early or not. But in general, there is no no limit here. I will not suggest 2, 3 employees to be a coordinator of a consortium, but being a participant is very welcome.
Thank you very much for your contribution, and especially for the practical guidances.
I hope that this helps.
Very much indeed.